Hello and welcome to Hello and welcome to Curdcast, the podcast for people who like to eat cheese. I'm tongue-tied today because I have a special guest. Our friend MacKenzie from @GrilledCheeseSocial is with us. Hello, MacKenzie.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great. We're happy to have you. And my co-host, as always, is Julie Faith Ann Balzer. Hey, Julie, how's it going?
I am happy to be here.
Excellent. So we know, MacKenzie, that in the background there are people inside making pound cake, and the rest of us are wishing we were on the pound cake list of recipients. But tell us what's new with you since last year when you also helped us co-curate our Grilled Cheese Month Curdbox.
So I guess the biggest thing is I had another baby.
Crazy.
I just had a little baby boy. His name is Jet Wilder Johnston. He was born in January, and he's 3 months old, which feels really weird to say, but he is a sweet little chunk who loves milk. So needless to say, it feels weird that he's not on top of me right now because all I do is breastfeed all day long.
Exactly. And I think everybody should be very appreciative that you could take time out of Jet's schedule to be here with us. I know how hard that is to like schedule anything in advance because you're like, sure, I can set it for this time, but if the baby speaks, the baby speaks. So we'll keep this happy and quick, and everybody can eat along with us. For those of you who are new to our podcast, Curdbox is a monthly subscription box. So every month we send out 3 cheeses and 3 pairings that all revolve around a theme. We've been very lucky because 2 years in a row we've had MacKenzie sort of co-curate a grilled cheese themed box. So it's a beautiful box that can be used as a cheese board, but if you want, or if you have any leftovers, and I say that every year, but who has leftovers, you can make some delicious grilled cheeses. So we're going to sort of talk about both cheesy things today. So we're celebrating National Grilled Cheese Month. And National Grilled Cheese Day is actually, what day of the month is, there's like a day in
it was
the
month?
12th. The 12th. All right. So so how we do this is that we basically are going to eat through the box today, all 3 of us, and talk about it and add little tidbits. Hopefully MacKenzie's going to give us some ideas as we go through this for grilled cheeses. You will get in your box, there's a card with more information MacKenzie gave us on like the best practices for grilled cheese. But all right, ladies, let's start with, what I want to start with is not our youngest cheese. Sometimes I like to start with the youngest cheese, but we're going to start with the Vault 5, which I think is the I would say the friendliest, the middle child, I don't know, but I think it's a good place to start. So the interesting thing is we did something really fun for the first time in 4 years, which is also forever for Curdbox. So we've never done this before, is we have 3 cheeses all from one company, and a company that I believe we all love dearly, which is Jasper Hills, the seller at Jasper Hills. And this first cheese we're trying is the Vault 5. It is a natural rind cheddar. It's not made in a wheel. It's made in a block. Oh my goodness.
Oh, so good.
It's gonna be so fun to taste this with the other one. We're still getting it's 9. This one's 10 to 12 months old. And this is actually made by the Cabot Cooperative. So this is sort of, Cabot does a few cheeses, which we all know Cabot from sort of the commodity cheese part of the grocery store, but they also have ventured and touched their foot into the artisanal cheese world. This is one of their cheeses, and we're going to try their other one next. And so they use a cooperative of milk to make this cheese, and then the magic of it is that it gets aged under the watchful eyes of the sellers at Jasper Hill. This one and the next one that we're going to try, which is the Cabot cloth bound. So this one is pasteurized, and it's cow's milk, and it's aged, so it's got a little bit of those crunchies. And like I said, this one will come in like, you know, when you go to the deli and you get your cheese sliced, and there's like a long block of cheese. That's what this looks like when it's being made. So it's an interesting one. Not a lot of cheesemakers are doing block cheddars with a natural rind. And if you've got a piece of this and it I'll see if I have some of my natural rind on here. I don't. But you can
I did,
trust
and
me.
it was
Excellent.
amazing. So
Yeah.
like the first bite without the rind was very kind of soupy and delicious. It
Mhm.
has a really sort of rich, deep flavor profile.
Mhm.
But then the bite with the rind on it, it's almost
Mhm.
like it was a different cheese because it just like upped the it isn't really a stinky cheese, but kind of what I would call the funk factor.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's got
But
nice.
it
So
does-
why do you like this, MacKenzie?
It's just got this like nice little sweet tooth to it. I'm such a cheese crystal fan. I feel like those are
Mhm.
like the magical fairy droplets in each cheese. And this one just has all of it, right? It's so good,
Yeah.
it's so delicious. And of course, you know, it's gonna melt even more beautifully. And it's just a solid choice. It had to be in this
Mhm.
box.
Yeah, and it has a nice tang. So, you know, when we made this box for everybody, one of the things I think we thought of, because at our store we actually do a cheese mix for our grilled cheeses, and I also like a cheese mix for making macaroni and cheese. It sort of covers all your bases. It's just like
Yes.
I also like an apple mix when I'm making an apple pie. I want some that get all, you know, smushy, and I want some that give a bite, and I want some that add tang. So I really like this one. It's got a little bit of a tang. I think it's going to play really nice with the other two, especially the Whitney. So where one goes mellow, one goes tangy. So I think the nice thing is we don't have to talk too much about Jasper Hills because we're going to talk about them in all of these.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's check the Cabot cloth bound and see what we think of this one.
Got some rind on this one.
Mm-hmm. All three of our cheeses, guys, you can eat the rinds on these. You don't have to, but you can. Totally different texture.
How are they so good at making cheese?
You know, have you ever been up there, MacKenzie?
I haven't, but I've met them all at like the cheese conferences, and they're just angels.
Yeah. They are the nicest humans, group of humans I've ever met. I've been lucky enough to actually hang out there and be there for cheese making. I've poked their Bailey Hazens. I've helped wrap their harvestins. And I've been in on like the whole like the science behind it and how they do sensory work. So this particular cheese is interesting because there are different flavor profiles. They also have a Cabot cloth bound reserve, or no, I think they call it black label. And it is like when it maxes out the whole tasting scale, they slap a really nice black label on it. It's hard to get, but it is really delicious. But I've had this cheese when it's tasted pineapple-y is sort of the flavor profile they say. I've had it where it's tasted literally like I was eating fried chicken. There's a number of different profiles that will pop up, different seasons, different cows milking, but they are so good at their sensory of their cheese that they're on top of it. They just are on top of their game. And this cheese is what made it possible for Jasper Hill to help other smaller cheese makers age their cheeses, because Cabot sort of helped build the caves and made a lot of stuff possible. So I know sometimes we might think we're bashing commodity cheeses, but some of them are out there really doing great things for the artisanal cheese community. I think it's a great thing. It's so good. Okay, so one more, the newest cheese from
Here we go.
and I say newest, they're always like experimenting, so it's not technically the newest. There's probably other magic going on right now. So this is the Whitney. It's named after a family who's been involved in the success of Jasper Hill. If you open this one up, guys, that are listening along, and it was like funky at first, if you don't like that funk, it's in the rind, which is washed with wine. Just cut the rind off. But otherwise, do not dismiss the rest of the cheese for that first opening.
Funky rind.
I love it personally, but for those of you who don't,
and I like the rind. I will say I actually found that the Cabot cloth bound rind had much more of that kind of funk. Do you know what I mean? Than actually the Whitney does.
Definitely. This is a smooth and melty cheese, which means it's gonna love to melt. So where
so melty,
those cheddars will might want to separate just at the last minute. This is going to keep them all. She's going to say, hello, let's all be friends and melt together. 3 different tastes in what looks like when you look at your plate. Three of the same
There's
cheeses.
a lot of mushroom to me in this cheese. I don't know if anybody else tastes that.
Yeah.
Very earthy.
Definitely.
I have a hard time not just like eating all of it at once.
I agree. So let's start talking about the pairing so we can eat it all at once. Okay, so we went with the hot and melty theme because I think the fun thing to point out, and MacKenzie, I'd love to hear your sort of spin on this, is that sometimes things like mac and cheese and grilled cheese and things that are very cheesy are so rich that it's hard to, you like love it and then you're like, I can't eat anymore.
Yeah.
Also cheesecake is like that.
You need to find that balance.
So that's why I love a little heat, especially because that dairy will cool off the heat. So it's friendly even for people who normally would never eat something spicy.
Very manageable.
Yeah. So, I mean, how often do you go to heat when you're doing a grilled cheese?
Oh my gosh, all the time. So personally, like the sweet heat is like my favorite. And
when you say sweet heat, do you mean that the hot item itself is sweet, or that you like to combine sweet and hot together?
And or both. So like, for example, like in my fridge right now, I've got these candied jalapenos. They are so sweet, but so spicy. And like my whole pregnancy, all I did was eat that on cheddar. And it was like white cheddar and a little slice of the candied jalapeno. And that flavor profile right there is like kind of just one of the best pairing. Like if I was doing the Cheesemonger Invitational, I would definitely have that in my perfect bite. But
okay, what is the Cheesemonger Invitational? As somebody who's not in the cheese world,
you got to explain that fun bit. I'll let you do that, MacKenzie.
Oh my gosh! So I haven't gone in a few years because COVID, and I've been pregnant what feels like for the last 5 years. But it's basically like a cheese party that is hosted in New York and San Francisco. I'm pretty sure it's still just those 2 places. And it's where all these cheesemongers come together and basically compete to be like the ultimate cheesemonger. And so there's everything from like cutting the perfect amount of cheese, like by weight. There's a folding competition, a perfect bite competition. Also, I haven't been in years, so it's probably going to be.
It's still.
What do you mean by there? Folding? What's folding?
Wrapping. Paper
like
wrapping.
Yeah, like I used to be a cheesemonger in Brooklyn, so I never competed, but it is truly an art to just be like, all right, we're gonna work with this strange shape, but let's do it. And do they blind? I don't remember, but it's just a really fun time. There's like music blasting and some other things happening.
It's a party. It's a cheese.
It is a cheese party. And everyone just like, I mean, you leave there just like so full of cheese and endorphins that you're just like, you can do anything. It's if you ever get an opportunity to go, you have to. It's so fun.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. And actually it's starting back up. So it'll be happening. It always happens like the first day of the fancy food show, which happens in New York, which is an industry only thing, unless you know somebody in the industry. And Julie's been to the fancy food show with us. So there's a Cheesemonger Invitational. And the last night, so the cheesemongers spend like 3 days together, meeting with industry professionals, learning a lot stuff. So they really say like, that's the benefit of it is for the cheesemongers is learning all the stuff, and they get to the top, I don't know, 5 or 7 mongers, and they participate live on stage. And it's a speed cutting and a speed wrapping. And there's a hard quit, like quiz, like Jeopardy for cheesemongers. But they do this perfect bite, and it's the best part because the judges are going to judge the perfect bite, but they have to make like 2 cookie trays full of these little bites. And as somebody that comes in, if you have to sign up to get the early bird ticket so that you can get in, and you can try all of the different. We have a guest.
You have a visitor.
We got a special guest. Someone snuck out of the kitchen.
Mama,
say hi. Say hi.
Hey, Mama.
Hey, baby. Okay, you go run. Jeremy's like, come here. Oh, God, she's taking a piece of cheese. Okay, here you go. Can you give her some?
She has got good taste.
Yeah.
Look at her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's really eating the cheese. Oh, she ate the rind.
Good job, baby. Start with the rind. That's how you really get to know a cheese.
Poppy approved.
Oh my God. I've got the knife though, so.
Okay, good job. All right. Don't pick big bites of the hot pepper jam.
You can take this bite. I'm like, this wouldn't be a podcast without an appearance by Poppy.
I love it. I love it. So, okay, we should talk about the pairings now that we went off on our lovely party tangent. But the public should know that you can get tickets. You can come to this big party at the end, and it's in June. Yeah, it's in like mid-June. Okay, so let's do some jam. I was thinking we should start with the mostarda, the raspberry mostarda. This is made by Blake Hill. So we're staying in Vermont for one more second. This is, again, sweet heat is what we've got for all three of our things. We could have called it hot, sweet, and melty. Or swelty, hot and swelty. I don't know.
No, I think you named it. I think we named it correctly.
Explain the mostarda thing to me again. I know that you've done this before. So I obviously think of mustard, but it's not mustard. So help me. So
do you have a good explanation for it at all, MacKenzie? Because if not, I'll jump in. But I know you're more of a chef than I am.
Not really. I mean,
okay. So it's jam based, but it has got it's usually got some sort of a heat. It's very similar to a cross between a jam and a mustard, but it's not mustard.
Not mustardy.
Specific.
It's definitely more jammy, more sweet.
It's getting sort of the heat that you would get from the mustard. It's a little bit different than just a peppered jam, but they are very, very close cousins. And I would have to I would say there's nothing written in stone. We were just talking about this with the team, jam companies, like with what they call a chutney. There are some guidelines, but you get some people calling something a chutney that really is just a thick jam, and some people that are calling things a jam and it's really a jelly, which is like less texture and a preserve versus a.
That's why I wanted you to explain, because I get so caught up in the linguistics, or I don't even know if that's the right word, but labeling them all is very I don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you're going to get until you open that jar, is what you're saying.
Yes. And what you're getting is a surprise. So if you open it up and you think, oh, this is a raspberry jam. This looks like a good raspberry jam. Look, I see the seeds. It looks nice and thick. It looks really rich. It's nice and red. It doesn't look, it looks fantastic for those of you playing along. And then you eat it and you're like, oh, that's good. Oh, and you get this little heat in the back of your throat. And we're starting with this one. It's funny. You want to ramp up, and all three of these do have a kick. So. But I think our bacon jam has the biggest kick, so we're going to end with that, so it doesn't kill our taste buds, because we're not eating with cheese right now, right? Just yet.
Yeah. The kick in this one is definitely like in the back of my throat. I don't really take it on my tongue, but in the back of my throat, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that is something's burning.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a party and you meet somebody, and then you talk to them a little longer, then you go and get a drink, come back, and you talk to them a little longer, and you're like, I'm glad I came back after that drink, because you are really interesting. And I got past you got more. Yeah. You're like, what? You're a volunteer EMT for, I don't know,
Disneyland
people.
Exactly. And another visitor. Everyone's coming for snacks.
Excellent. Don't let him walk off with the knife either.
No, he's not.
Excellent. All right. So let's go on to that was Terrapin Ridge Farms. So, I'm sorry, that is Blake Hill, which is up in Vermont. We love them. We're going to go to Terrapin Ridge Farms in a second. They make beautiful cheeses, and they make a whole line of cheeses, by the way, that go with Jasper Hill, or a whole bunch of jams that go with Jasper Hill cheeses. So if you like this one, definitely check out Blake Hill preserves and see what else they have. I will say they put like a specific cheese on the label, but they kind of go with every cheese, anything that goes with sweet, but they are like the very best friends that they've put on the packaging, but like don't feel like you can't mix it with every cheese because jam is good.
Are the
okay.
related, or they just no?
They're just Vermont friends.
Okay.
They're Vermont friends, and the cheese world is a very friendly place, and they just play nice together. So, and Jasper Hill is great, and people want to, be seen with them. So it's a good. There's a reason we put them in our box too. We knew that everybody would be happy. They're the cool kids. They're doing great things for Vermont and for their town, and like I said, have the nicest humans.
They're
okay.
The Freddie Prinze Jr. of cheese. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Okay, so let's see what we've got for who the chip is. The personality is for the chip. So these are bee sting sriracha. So they're sort of a honey and hot chip. I'm going to pick a smaller one here so I can put it in my mouth and talk. These come from 1 in 6 Snacks out of North Carolina. And basically the founder had heard that like 1 in 6 people doesn't know where the next meal is going to come from. And so he named his company after them in order to let people know that they're supporting local food banks and such. And I just think it's also a great reminder for us to remember as we're eating good food that, we've got people out there who don't get to eat.
Right.
Yes. So.
And I have to say, these are the best sweet and spicy chips that I've had. Like my husband and I were very into this style chip, especially to put on sandwiches, grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yes. And last time we did chips too.
Tuna fish sandwiches. And they're like the perfect combination. They're not like cloyingly sweet to the point where you want to be like, no, they're just like that balance is right on.
Yeah, it is like
a technical question.
Okay.
When you make grilled cheese with these chips, do you put them in before you cook the grilled cheese? Do you serve them next to them?
After. Okay. So what I do is I'll pull it off the heat, I'll carefully open it, and then I'll shove those chips in, close it, and eat it real quick. I mean, they'll stay crispy for a while, like after you do it, but if they were heated in the grilling process, they would get soggy.
Yeah. Then they only add flavor, but in a different texture, not the texture we want. So, so these guys are I love this. I love an interesting chip. I mean, I love it. I'll eat any chip, but I love an interesting one. I'm always, whenever I go to a specialty food store or I try, when we go to the fancy food shop, I'm always looking for the weirdo flavors. Not that this is a weirdo flavor, but
when I travel, that's like my treat that I bring home everyone, like from abroad, is whatever unique potato chips I can find. I'm such a potato chip girl.
Oh yeah. And you know who's got a really great amount of potato chips besides the people who call them crisps in the UK, is Canada. They have such interesting flavors up there.
Yeah, the all dressed flavor came from there. Oh my god.
Yes. The best. I was so excited. But I saw it in Canada like 6 years ago.
Ketchup
and it
chips?
took like so interesting. Yeah. What's the one I saw? I saw some interesting ones in Sicily recently. And now I can't remember.
I have a foie gras.
There's like a shrimp flavor
chips inside.
Ooh, what?
Torres
amazing.
Makes them. They make like the, the truffle chips.
Yeah, we haven't
They're
tried
crazy.
this foie
It's
gras
good.
one.
It's definitely like one of the more interesting flavors I've had.
Wow. And they make a champagne one too, which is like weird. Why would I want champagne? But it literally tastes like champagne. It is
with like some caviar and creme fraiche.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. Okay, so we've got our crunch. We've got another sweet and spicy. This time it is and I would say like this is spicier.
Spicy
this is
umami.
Our hot pepper bacon.
So good.
It's the umami here that is adding that like third layer. Don't cut your tongue off, MacKenzie.
I only brought a knife out here, so I'm working with it.
No worries.
Oh my god, there's chunks of bacon in here.
Yeah.
I have to say, when I first started doing grilled cheese pop-ups in New York, I would make a candied bacon jam, and that was like it was candied bacon with pickled jalapenos, of course, and Hook's 5-year cheddar, and that was like my signature sandwich back in the day. So when this became like an opportunity for this sandwich, I was like, this is like part of my identity. as a sandwich maker. And it's really good.
Perfect. Yeah, it is fantastic. And you're right. How could you, replicate this? You could replicate it with a pepper jam and then making some real candied bacon and slapping it on there. But this has kind of got everything at once. I love Terrapin Ridge Farms. I'm so glad, Terrapin, if you're listening, I'm so glad you finally made this in a small size so that we could include it in our box, because their regular ones are too big for our box. But they are fantastic. Everything they make is great. So like if you see them in the store, pick it up. I am like gaga for their smoky onion mustard and their dill pickle mustard are both like two of my favorite mustards in the world. But I just, there's nothing they've made that I haven't loved.
I haven't had the dill pickle mustard. That sounds so good.
So good. It's really good. And I'm a big dill pickle fan. But if for some reason you like dill pickle flavor, but you don't like the crunch or the texture of pickles. I know some people don't like pickles and I don't understand that, but if it's a texture thing, then the mustard is the way to go, because you can get that dillish taste without.
Oh my God, wait. So I have a side note about another cheese.
Yes.
Because it's so good. So Rolf just came out with a Buffalo Ranch Gouda. And it's buffalo. It's okay. To me, it just tastes like spicy dill. And it is so freaking good.
That is so interesting. Well,
yeah, it just came out.
I need to go get.
It's got like chunks
of
like flavored cheeses or whatever, but this one, it's like if you like dill, spicy dill.
Yeah,
oh my God, it's so good.
That is fascinating. I love it. Okay, excellent. So now what we have to do is try them both together. Talk more about grilled cheeses as we're doing and how we would pair them. So now's the fun part. And here's what you guys go ahead, start tasting. What I will say while you're doing that and telling me what you like together most is that now that we're pairing the spicy with the cheese, so if you tried along and you tried the say, I think the hot pepper bacon is the spiciest of the items we have. But once you're putting that in your mouth with cheese, it is no longer that same level. It's just different. It's not. Yeah, it just changes it up. So. I'm trying to decide where I want to start here, but I think I'm going to start with the Whitney and some chips because they're just calling to me. I love chips. We've had chips in both boxes with you, and I think it's.
Love chips on a sandwich. It's very nostalgic for me. Like growing up in Florida, like. There's nothing more in my memory than like being in the pool all day, getting out, having a sandwich, and just shoving it full of chips. Just because your hands are.
I would much rather have my chips on the sandwich. Yeah, totally.
The best.
I grew up and my mom never liked us to put chips on sandwich, and I don't know why, but I used to sneak them on. I don't know why I had to sneak them. I'll have to have a discussion with my mom. Mom, if you're listening, let's talk about chips.
Why?
But my father-in-law liked, who's no longer with us, but he liked potato sticks. And he would just like open the sandwich and pour potato sticks on. There'd be like this big mound of potato sticks and he just squish it down.
It's only way I eat a sloppy Joe.
So smart. Oh, it's so great. But I like that the cheeses are a little sweet and a little salty, and the jam is a little hot and a little sweet. And I like that things are a little soft and a little crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a boring person.
And truly, you can combine any of this together, just like we were talking about with the jams. Like, sure, one has like a favorite, but they all work together.
Mm-hmm.
I made a cheese plate with everything. I guess last week I had some friends in town, and it was just so perfect. It was so good, and I think everyone that gets this box is going to be really excited.
I agree, and I'd encourage people to like think about something like a grilled cheese, but something else. And how could you turn that into a cheese board? Like, I love Cuban sandwiches. Yeah, I think you could make a Cuban sandwich inspired cheese board and it would be delicious. Obviously, mustard, pickles, some ham, maybe some grilled bread,
roast pork. Yes,
and the drinks you could serve with it would be so good and so fun.
So
you can be inspired. I think I just figured out what our next box is.
Yeah, there you go. Get a chef in Miami or Tampa, I guess.
Oh yeah.
There's the battle between who made it first, but also very Florida.
Yes, very Florida. So Yeah, I think, you can try this if you want to try these as grilled cheeses. Those of you who are listening along, you can do them as you can grate them. I like a grated cheese sandwich. It's just gonna like melt nicely, and you can really mix it up. But you can do all of the cheeses. You can do 3 separate cheeses. You can pair one cheese with one, item. You can actually, put the jam on one side and the mustard on the other.
I like the idea of having each one, like having each piece, eating half of it for a cheese board, and then grating it all up and using the rest of it in like some really dang grilled cheeses.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's
goodness.
And you could literally do everything. You could put the bacon jam on the sandwich and then put the chips on after and then dunk it in that mostarda.
That's so great. The other thing is, though, I think people think of a cheese board as for entertaining with people, and grilled cheeses is like the meal I'm making myself. Have you done much sort of entertaining with grilled cheeses? Do you have any tips for because you got to make a bunch at once? Have you done?
Yeah.
Have you done that? What would your tips be for that?
Oh yes. So I have done grilled cheese pop-ups literally all over the world, from Germany to Spain to here in New Smyrna Beach.
Nice.
So my big thing is, if you know anyone with a panini press, get those out, because that is the fastest and most efficient way, because you've got the heat coming from both sides. And then I basically just kind of like create a grilled cheese station. I've got, a whole like cutting board full of bread, and then I just add the toppings, close it all up, and then, as you're entertaining, you just throw them on the griddle, cut them in half. And grilled cheese, even after their prime, that first 10 minutes of being made, they're still delicious, because that cheese gets back to room temperature and actually a lot of the flavor back. What I think a big mistake is that people eat the grilled cheese too fast, because that hot molten cheese not only will ooze out if you cut it too quickly, but it's gotta have a second to retain those flavors and really bloom again. It's kind of like the same thing that happens if you eat it too fresh out of the fridge, right? It's not its full potential. So I think like those like leftover grilled cheese, and especially if you're using real butter, which is going to stay crispier. A lot of people want to battle me and say that mayonnaise, and I'm just like, no. First of all, grilled mayonnaise does not smell anywhere as good as grilled butter. And if you're having a party, you got to take that into consideration. Like, grilled butter there's nothing better. It's got to be real butter, because margarine is watery and it makes the sandwich not as crispy. But even when they're room temp, they're still delicious. So don't let that stress you out, because a lot of people are like, well, they won't be hot. I'm like, you get a hot plate if you care about it that much. But the bread's going to stay crispy if you're using nice bread, if you're using good butter. And it's just, I also have done like, I did a little girl's birthday party like 5 years ago. This was so cute. And I had the grilled cheese bar, right? So it was like 3 different types of bread, 3 different types of cheeses, and then like 50 toppings and condiments and everything from like sprinkles to, pickles.
So
and
fun.
I just like let everyone build it. And then I manned the grill, and there's a lot of ways to do it, but entertaining with grilled cheese is real fun.
So much fun. And what we've done and what we do for our store is we'll make up, we pre-make all the grilled cheeses, and we keep them over, we'll make them the day before. So they'll be in the fridge. They'll be all buttered, cheese in the middle, grated cheese in the middle, and they're ready to go. We wrap them up, and then we'll take them out so that they come to room temperature. Because what you don't want to try to do is get like a cold grilled cheese to melt.
That
like
too.
But you get it out so the butter comes to room temperature. You're all ready to go. Even if you want to put stuff on, we'll add things in our store like a hot honey or add some meat or something like that. So we just would take the top off, put what we're adding on, and stick it right in the grill. It's ready to go. And you just need somebody to man the station.
If you use tinfoil to wrap them, you can actually put the sandwiches back in the bread bag, which is great for storage too. When I used to do the pop-ups at like the ad agencies, which I was feeding like my husband and I, like our first year of dating, I was like, you do this with me now. We'd show up to these like ad agencies like in Chicago or LA, and literally we'd cook for 1,000 people in maybe an hour and a half. And it was all because we had them pre-made in the little, tinfoil that was shoved in the bag, and then you just show up. They get room temperature. You don't even have to keep them cold. It's
great. It's so fun. It's so
DM
fun,
me
and
if
I
you need more grilled cheese
love it.
entertaining tips. I try to answer all my DMs.
They're fantastic. So, well, we should let people know where they can find you, MacKenzie. What's up? What's new? Where can they find you? What's
So
happening?
I'll give you my whole little shameless
Yeah,
plug. So
please.
once again, I'm MacKenzie Smith. My blog turns 13 this year, and it is called Grilled Cheese Social. It actually turns 13 next month. So it's grilledcheesesocial.com. I'm on Instagram. Now I'm apparently a teenager because I'm on TikTok.
Very popular on TikTok too.
Everything at Grilled Cheese Social. And I have a cookbook called Grilled Cheese Social, Super Fun Recipes for Super Fun Times. It is breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert, all grilled cheese recipes. And this is something fun that I have coming up, but it's not happening until I sell enough seats. But I am selling a trip with a company that I work for called Trova Trip. And we are doing a cheese and food tasting tour of Vermont in June. And there's we just need 10 more people to sign up and then we're going, but it's going to be
so 5 more couples. That's
super
awesome.
Delicious. Yeah. And each night I'm hosting a cheese tasting happy hour. So you'll be trying, these cheeses that are in this box along with some other amazing cheese makers and local makers in Vermont, not just cheese. We'll also be doing jams and ciders and beers, and it's going to be fun.
That's so exciting. Exciting. So definitely, and they can find that on your information for that on your blog.
On Instagram right now. Actually,
on Instagram.
I should put a link up. I'll put a link on the blog too.
All right, perfect, excellent. And Julie, they can find you at What Julie Ate, and you can follow us anytime at Curdbox. You can get your own box next month at Curdbox.com. If you want to know where you can find out more about Jasper Hill, you can go to @JasperHillFarm. Our Terrapin Ridge friends are @Terrapin Ridge Farms. The potato chips, our delicious potato chips by 1 in 6 Snacks is @1in6snacks_, and at Blake Hill Preserves for the fantastic rosemary mostarda. All of these companies make a lot more products that are really great. And thank you to everybody who's subscribed and tried 6 new foods this month, and
so
try 6 new ones with us next month. And MacKenzie, thanks as always for making Grilled Cheese Month, our April month, so fantastic. We just got an email yesterday of somebody who missed the deadline to get the box, and she begged and pleaded and asked very, very nicely, and we had another box. So she's going to get her box. We're always
so
happy
nice
to make your friends, well, only because we had one. But thanks everybody, and thanks Julie and MacKenzie for another great podcast. And Julie, I'll see you next month, and MacKenzie, take care. I can't wait to hear about the trip. Bye everybody.
So nice chatting, Jen and Julie. I'll see y'all later.
Bye.